How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be talking about the Game Week 4 preview. The talking points relating to Game Week 4 are going to include Werner versus Martial. A lot of us own these two players. Who should we be taking out, if not both of them? And then we're going to be looking at some replacements for those players with Jimenez and Danny Ings. Finally, we're going to end it off with Captaincy for Game Week 4. Now Game Week 3 was quite an interesting game week, so I'm pretty sure you guys are going to want to get onto Game Week 4 as quickly as possible. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So sit back, relax, and let's get into the preview. So a new season calls for a new sponsor, but here on the Dayvy FPL channel, we like our old. So I've brought back the old sponsor, OneFootball, but with a completely new revamped app. Yes, OneFootball has gone over a complete marketing revamp, new logo, new everything. I've checked it out, looks really good. They kind of took the old app, but just made it better. So I'm really appreciative of that. If you want to go check them out, link down in the description below to go download the app. If you don't know who they are, they're the biggest app on iOS and Android, so go check them out. I personally use them, so I can recommend them from a personal level. So firstly, I wanted to give you guys a reminder about the midweek fixtures that are happening from today till about Thursday. It's the Carabao Cup as well as those UEFA Champions League qualifiers. Now this week has got a lot of more high octane fixtures. I'm thinking of Arsenal versus Liverpool and Chelsea versus Spurs. Now whether these two teams play their full strength lineups, I don't think so. I think there's going to be a lot of rotation, but there will be a couple of players here and there that do have a full 90 minutes. So just keep your eyes out for injury news as well as game time going into Game Week 4. So that's enough for the reminders. Let's get into the watch list. So the watch list has finally been updated. We have one new entry, Jamie Vardy. How could I not include Jamie Vardy after that really stellar performance against Man City? Now I know two of the goals were penalties, but with the way penalties are being handed out in the Prem this season, I'm pretty sure that won't be the last Jamie Vardy penalty. He managed 5 goals in the opening 3 fixtures, and at 10 million he provides more of a premium asset in that forward line. He's basically played every minute. Just keep an eye out for that injury news in that press conference. Now Brendan Rodgers and Jamie Vardy himself came out and said that he should be fine. It was more of a hip injury than a hamstring or a groin injury, and it's been worrying him for the last couple of weeks. So just keep your eyes on that press conference. I'm pretty sure he will be back fit, but you don't want to transfer him currently and then he doesn't play on the weekend. We also have Calvert-Lewin and Jimenez. Now I'm not going to touch on Jimenez too much as we will be doing an in-depth analysis on the Wolves striker later on in the video, but with Calvert-Lewin, it seems that every time I have him in this watch list, he returns with a price rise and a goal. So I'm sure you owners are pretty happy that I have him in this week's watch list. Now at 7.4 million, I still think he provides some value, and with 5 goals this season, basically one of the top goal scorers in the Premier League this season, and compare him to Jamie Vardy, he comes in a lot cheaper and he's definitely going to be nailed in that Everton lineup. But that's not enough for the watch list. Let's get into the main talking points. So the main talking point of this video is going to be Werner versus Martial. Now personally, I own both of these players and I'm looking at taking at least one of them out, if not both of them out, for Danny Ings and Jimenez, who will be talking about a little bit later on. But whether you guys want to take these players out, or maybe you only own one of them, or maybe you own both of them and are trying to decide who to take out, I'm going to be doing an analysis on stats and fixtures and hopefully concluding who you should be taking out. So Werner on the left, Martial on the right. Werner's in blue and then Martial's in red on this Fantasy Football Hub kind of stat sheet that we have. If you look at the stats from a pure basis, Werner absolutely smashes Martial. Shots in the box, big chances, shots on target, and even shots are much higher than Martial. Martial only kind of beats him in final third passes and touches. But I don't know about you, but I'd rather my striker have more big chances and shots in the box than touches and final third passes. So Werner, off your pure stats basis, is absolutely demolishing Martial at the moment. I think this speaks about how both teams are kind of setting up. Even though Chelsea haven't been in the best of form, at least Werner's getting some chances in the box, whereas with Martial, he's been basically hidden on the field. Man United haven't got off to the best start in the Premier League, but if they can bounce back, I'm pretty sure Martial will be getting some more returns. But with the way they're currently playing and with their fixtures upcoming, I can't really see it being that good. So I think even though Werner kind of comes in at 0.5 million more, both of these players have had price drops. I was willing to take that price drop because of the upcoming fixtures that are happening this midweek. I think it was too soon to make a transfer, but if you did make that transfer, it was a risky one and hopefully it pays off for you. But from a stats point of view, Werner definitely looks better than Martial. well. But let's get on and look at the fixtures. So from a fixture point of view, I still think the side is a little bit on Werner. Those two home fixtures against Crystal Palace and Southampton are better than Spurs and Newcastle. Now, Newcastle haven't been great defensively. I think they were really lucky to only concede 1 to Spurs. But I think with the way United are playing and with the way they struggle to break teams down that sit at the back, I think that Newcastle fixture is going to be a lot tougher than maybe the Southampton or Crystal Palace game. Now, Man United do play Spurs, which is considered a top 6 clash, so anything can kind of go in that game. And with how tired Spurs are probably going to be after playing 2 midweek games this week, I think that Spurs will come out on the end of a loss there to United. It just depends on who gets the goal for United. So if you want to take out only one of these players, I would probably recommend Martial, just from a standpoint that Werner is still getting at least some shots and big chances. And I think if Jorginho's off the field, to get a confidence boost for Werner, they will give him the next pen. That's kind of a big thing this season is the penalties, and I do think that Werner will be on the side of the penalties. I think Martial, Bruno Fernandes and Rashford are the favourite takers, and then Martial's probably third choice, so I don't think he's going to get many pens this season. So my recommendation would be, if you only want to take out one of these players, I definitely would keep Werner. So if you want to take out a player, you need a replacement, and that's exactly what we're going to be covering here. We've got Raul Jimenez and Danny Ings, two great options, also cheaper than the likes of Werner and Martial, so you could kind of downgrade to any of these two players. Now, which one to choose? If you look at the stats, Raul Jimenez is in blue here and Danny Ings is in red, and it's actually quite close between these two. We have Danny Ings who's taking the lead on those expected goals, but in terms of big chances and shots in the box, they equal or better for Raul Jimenez. I think the fixtures play a big part in this. Raul Jimenez has Fulham at home up next, whereas Danny Ings has West Brom. I'm expecting both of these players to score in Game Week 4. It just kind of depends on who you're more comfortable with. I think Raul Jimenez is better for the upcoming fixtures, but Danny Ings definitely has shown that he can score against the tougher opposition, and that makes him a good option as well. For my own team, I think that I'll opt for the Wolves striker, but I am potentially looking at a move of taking Werner and Martial both out, and then bringing in Raul Jimenez and Danny Ings both, as I think those Game Week 4 fixtures are just a little bit hard to ignore. The stats are looking good for both sides. I know Wolves just come off the back of a really shock defeat to West Ham. They kind of got obliterated 4-0 there. I know that was not kind of what we were predicting. Also think that lends quite good for Podence if he manages to come back this week. I think that he will be starting because of how badly that Wolves lineup started. A little bit unlucky there for Neto, as I think it wasn't necessarily his fault. I think overall Wolves were quite bad, but I think that's just going to lend to Podence, and I think Raul Jimenez is going to be a lovely double up for that lovely Wolves at home fixture. Now moving on to some Son replacements. So if you don't know, Son actually came off at halftime with an injury. Apparently it is a hamstring injury, but what I would do is I would wait a couple of days. Unless Son is going to drop in price again, then I would probably look at taking him out. But I do think the injury time here is yet to be seen. So after those scans, I'm pretty sure Spurs will come out and say that Son is out for this expected time, and then you can kind of make your decision on that. If it's not as bad as they initially predicted, then I mean you could just hold on to Son, but just make sure that those price drops don't affect you too much. So the nice thing with Son is he comes in a little bit expensive for a midfield option. There's not too many more premiums that are more expensive than him, except for the Man City and the Liverpool assets. So you can easily downgrade Son to basically whoever you want. I've highlighted 3 more premium options here that'll give you enough money in the bank to spend on other facets of your team, maybe the defense or maybe the forward department, or maybe upgrade another midfielder. These 3 options are all really good options. So I've gone for James Rodriguez, Harvey Barnes and Wilfried Zaha. If I had to pick my favorite here, I think I might be a little bit biased because he's in my own team. It's going to be Harvey Barnes. Just been electric over these opening couple game weeks. Really looks good on the ball. If he can just improve his finishing a little bit, he's going to be in for some nice hauls throughout the season. My second favorite is going to be Wilfried Zaha. Wilfried Zaha's got off to a blazing start. 3 goals in the opening 3 fixtures there. And this Crystal Palace fixtures only get better with age. But final option is going to be James Rodriguez. Now I really think that James Rodriguez is going to be a good option. I just personally prefer some other Everton options such as Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin in that Everton lineup. And I think with James Rodriguez, you can just see there 1 goal, 1 assist. And with how well Everton have played and with how many goals they've scored, I think that might be a little bit surprising. But I think this is one of those cases where he's a really good player in reality, but that does not always correlate to FPL points. So that's why James Rodriguez is probably not my favorite option, as I think you can get better options for cheaper, and it also allows you to differentiate your team with maybe including a Leicester or Crystal Palace option. So personally, I think Harvey Barnes and Wilfried Zaha are where it's at, but you could also go for James Rodriguez maybe if you don't have Everton cover and you just want a little bit of coverage for that Everton forward line. So finally, to end off the video, we're going to be talking about captaincy. Now last week's captaincy was actually quite interesting. It was really split. We basically had a captain of 15% for Salah, a captain of 15% for De Bruyne, and so on. And it's always nice to have those kind of split game weeks, as there's a lot of variance in that lineup then, and you can kind of boost up the ranks if your captain does return. Fortunately, last game week wasn't that good with returns, but hopefully this week will be. And yet again, we have some really nice split captains. I wanted to include Danny Ings in here, but I think that Jimenez pips it a little bit with that lovely fixture against Fulham. I think that's a better fixture than the West Brom fixture, but you could also go for Danny Ings. I think the two favorite captains yet again are going to be Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne. You can also go for Sadio Mane or Sterling. I've just highlighted the most popular player from each team here. Now, Aston Villa have shown throughout the first 2 game weeks that they have played, that they've been defensively strong. Only team not to concede in the Premier League, but I do think that's going to come to an end against Liverpool, and that's why I think a lot of people are favouring Mo Salah or Sadio Mane. I think personally my favourite options would be the Man City options or Raul Jimenez yet again, because I just think Man City are going to be looking to bounce back. I don't think Leeds are defensively strong. I think they're going to go to Man City with a game plan, going to press them quite high, and I think that maybe in behind that high line, I think that Man City are going to get some FPL returns. So De Bruyne is probably going to be my captain if I want to go safe. Otherwise, if I bring in Raul Jimenez, I'll go for him. Just because I think Fulham are looking absolutely terrible at the moment. And like City, Wolves are going to be looking to bounce back after that shock defeat on the weekend. So if you want to go safe, I probably would go for De Bruyne. Otherwise, if you want to go more differential, maybe Danny Ings or Raul Jimenez is where it's at. So this is basically going to wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please like it if you did, and subscribe if you're new, have not subscribed yet. I'll be checking you guys on my Twitter at DayvyFPL, otherwise in the videos releasing later on in the week, or in that deadline with Dayvy's stream coming up on the weekend. I'm going to sign you off. This has been DayvyFPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.